right, Brakathe Yahweh, Brakathe Yahushai, Brakathe Yahweh, Brakathe Yahushai, Kal Halayim La Alahai Noah, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakudash, Shalom Mabarakim, La Bakayayim Yasha Allah, Washini Kabad, Gawala Wakab, Zakwanya Noah, Waha Shalayakim Noah, Yasha Allah, Ba'ath. All right, what I just spoke in the Hebrew was I said all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. His name is Yahweh, Abanawa Yahweh, our Father, the Most High, He to be, and His Son, in the name of His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, and Rakah HaKodash is the Holy Spirit. That's what comforts and guides us in all understanding. I also said peace and blessings to the elect of Israel, and double honors to our elders and apostles of Israel, coming back in the reincarnation, known as Great Millstone. All right, let me just make sure this is Tawab. Give me 1 second. Yeah, and I want to touch on this topic. I was just reading, just going back over the history, in Genesis, Bara Ashiath, which means in the headings or in the beginnings, and just wanted to touch on something specific that was spoken to Isaac by Yahweh. All right. By Hashem Yahweh Shai, of course, our mediator and our deliverer to the elect of Israel. And that's kind of also what this video is about. Of course, harping on the salvation of the elect, of the scattered sheep of the nation of Israel, who Yahweh Shai told his disciples to go after and preach to. Specifically, Paul received that commission. All right. Paul received that commission to go forth into the other countries. And of course, he's back now doing the same thing. And so we have to push that energy, all right? And because ultimately, this earth that we're on, standing upon right now, ultimately belongs to us. And those who, the inhabitants thereof, they're supposed to be governed a certain way, all right? And it's supposed to be in righteousness, all right? It's supposed to be in righteousness. Let me just see. Okay, yeah, sound is good. So yeah, I'm going to hit these scriptures. I'm going to hit these scriptures through the Spirit. So this is Genesis 26:1. All right, it says, and there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went into Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. So this is a separate famine. All right, so there was a time when, of course, the Lord sent a plague on the earth during the time when Isaac was around. All right, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell of thee. And that's similar to what we're telling our people today. All right, because today we have our spiritual Egypt, which is America as we know. And we're not telling our people not to go in there because the Lord specifically has chose for us to get back to our holy land. All right, and to bring in the New Jerusalem, which in order to do that, this Egypt has to be removed. It says, sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee and bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed will I give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed. All right, and that's the point. That's the point that I wanted to make right there. All right, it says, and I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. Now Isaac, he had who? He had Jacob and he had Esau. So you had Esau, when you read in Chronicles, Esau had a bunch of dukes that came after him, and yes, he became a great people, but not as great and as blessed is an exceedingly abundant as the nation of Israel. We know that throughout the scriptures. All right, and now what I want to harp on here is, again, in thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed. Now in Christianity, they have this concept that the whole world can be saved, and what they try to do, a lot of the times they'll try to use scriptures in the New Testament. So what we have to do when we bring out these things in Bara Ashiath, or in Genesis, or in the Tawara, which means the Torah, it's good to complement it with the New Testament, or the New Agreement, or the New Bara'ash, if I'm not mistaken. No. Bite. Let's look up covenant in the Hebrew. It's a real easy one. I know it starts with a ba. All right, let's just look up covenant. And shalom to all the elect tuning in. All right, let's just look up covenant real quick. It would be chadash, which means new, and then covenant if this thing wants to load. Because the Lord's covenant, what we're going to come to find out is that his covenant and his promises of mercy were only bestowed upon one people. All right, and we know everyone in the Christendom out there, if you're a scholar, you know that mercy belongs to David, and David had a nationality, he had family. All right, he had origins and he had customs, and these things were passed on to only his people. I don't know why it's not coming up. Let me Oh, Barayath. All right, yeah, Barayath. It'd be Chadash Barayath. So in the Chadash Barayath of the New Testament, we go to Galatians 3 and 15, because again, the scripture said, "In thy seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed." So eventually all the nations, the heathen nations that didn't receive the promises and the covenants, they will be blessed. But it's going to be through the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and the 12 patriarchs. That's how the earth is going to be controlled and ruled in righteousness. And it's going to be with our King Yahushua, the one who brought us back to Yahweh, who created us to be righteous in the beginning. All right, Galatians, or Paul's letter to the Israelites church in Galatia. All right, Galatians 3 and 15. "Brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant. Yet if it be confirmed, no man disannulleth or addeth thereto." It's because it was perfect. All right, it was perfect. But the Lord set it up so that we could come back to Yahushua. All right, that's the whole point of why he put all those sacrificial laws in there. You got to understand that there's a spirit behind why certain laws and statutes were put in place. So now when we go to verse 16, it says, "Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made, period. He saith not as and to seeds as of many, but as of one." So he's telling people here, all right, coming back into the fold, that look, this thing was always promised to us. All right, it wasn't left to Japhet, it wasn't left to these other nations that our people were dwelling amongst. All right, it needed to be understood that it always was Abraham's seed and not unto seeds. And now it's going to say, "But as of one, and thy seed, which is Hamashiach," which is the anointed. All right, because again, that was Paul's whole mission. All right, to preach the repentance through Yahushua, having faith in Yahushua. The Most High Hamashiach, the law, which is 430 years after, cannot disannul that it should make the promise of none effect. For if the inheritance be of the law, it is no more of a promise. But the Most High gave it to Abraham by promise, right? Because it was always according to the word at first. And that's what we're reading here in Genesis 26 and 4. "And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed." Because that Abraham obeyed my voice, see, that was the point. He obeyed the voice and kept my charge and my commandments and my statutes and laws. But again, Moses came way after. The writing of it came way after. That's why it says no man disannul, because it was already in place. All right, now if we go to Deuteronomy 4, Deuteronomy 4 and verse 5, it says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded." Well, before I get this, let me get Psalms. All right, so we can understand the only way that these other nations can be blessed is once we're blessed. All right, once we're put in our righteous state. All right, I didn't really line these scriptures up, but I want to line them up now. Okay. This is Psalms 147 and verse 19. It says, "He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He hath not dealt with any nation as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So you see the common theme in the scriptures is that the Lord is only dealing with his nation. And that's all how it always was originally. That's why Paul said, not as unto many seeds of Abraham, but as unto one seed, Yahushua. So that's why I say he sprang out of Judah. All right. Speaking nothing concerning priesthood, because the priesthood belonged to Levi, but showing you that the covenants and everything still belong to the Israelites, and they always will, because the Lord does not change. All right. Now, when we go to Deuteronomy 4 and 5, it says, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about possessing the land, because that's what the fight is for right now in the world. You know, the fight is for resources. All right. The fight is for controlling the earth and having the power over the earth. But right now it's being controlled in wickedness. That's why in Proverbs 29 it says, when the wicked are in authority, the people mourn, but when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. So right now the earth is mourning, all right, because the original inhabitants and the people who are supposed to control the earth, going back to the Adamites, all right, they didn't do what's being said here. All right. It says, Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, Surely this is a great nation and a wise and understanding people. So that's how all the other nations are going to be blessed, are going to be through us. All right, but it has to start with the salvation of Israel. All right, because our people, we have fallen off. All right, the Israelites have been scattered. All right, the prophecy of us being scattered for not keeping these laws, statutes, commandments have came to pass. So in order for the earth, for the prophecy that the Lord told Isaac, all right, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. You have to understand that blessing is going to come through the Israelites' wisdom and understanding of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua and 100% righteousness. Hebrews 8 in verse 7 says, For if that first covenant had been faultless, there should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. I did not say the house of Basra and the house of Mount Seir. I didn't say any other nation. For goodness sake, for truth's sake, all right, for ha'amaf la'an, which means for truth's sake. The book is called Hebrews. All right, the book isn't called Aramaic. The book isn't called Spanish to Spain or something like that. The book is called Hebrew. And in the 8th chapter, we're continuing on here, it says, When I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand and led them out of Egypt. And you got to remember, Abraham came out of Egypt because there was a famine. Isaac went to Egypt, came out of Egypt because there was famine. And he told Isaac that he would make our people great. All right, so Jacob, we came out of Egypt. And it's spiritual too. Yahushua fled to Egypt and spent some years there, all right, until the Herod died for that year. So our people were always constantly, Egypt was a hub, all right. But again, Egypt was made great through what? The nation or the seed of the promise. That's what we have to understand. And this is what this is talking about, the Lord instilling that promise in us, all right, after the collapse of the modern day Egypt. Now it says, because they continue not in my covenant, all right, Barayath, that's what it was, right? Barayath, that's how you say covenant. And I regarded them not, saith the Lord. For this is the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days. The after those days is talking about after the World War III. The Swing Low Sweet Chariot song finally comes to pass. Yahweh Shah shows up. Yahweh Tazabawaf proves why he's the Lord of hosts and destroys this place and delivers the elect. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws into their mind and write them in their hearts. And I will be to them a power, and they shall be to me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man his neighbor shall say, Know the Lord, for all shall know me, from the least to greatest. Now this is only of who? Israel and Judah. All right, so you're going to have these other nations. They're not going to know what the hell to do. So we are going to be 100% righteous, and in that righteousness, they're going to have to come to us. All right, that's how all these other nations are going to be blessed, because we're not going to be teaching each other. We're going to have to teach them. Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14 and 16. And it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of all nations which came against Jerusalem, and you can read all the nations that came against Jerusalem in the book of Jeremiah. He prophesies against Elam, Ishmael, Edom, Moab, the Ammonites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, all right? All these nations that came against Jerusalem, all right? It says, and it shall come to pass that everyone that is left of the nations which came against Jerusalem even shall go up from year to year to worship the king, right? Because you're going to have a lot of these heathen nations that get executed and get judgment because of what they've done to us. But you're going to have some that remain, that build up our kingdom, all right, and that are going to have to adhere to the righteousness, all right, and the dominion of Yahweh Malak Tazadak, all right, Yahweh Shai, who the scriptures refer to as Melchizedek. And they're going to have to come year to year to worship the king. You talking about we're in a cult? Well, you're gonna the real word cult means to eventually you're gonna show obeisance, the same way Abraham showed obeisance. All these other nations are gonna have to. These other 18 nations that were created, all the nations that were in the garden, they're all gonna be there to present them. So they're gonna have to year to year to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, and to keep the feast of the tabernacles. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not come up of all families of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord of hosts, all right, Yahweh Tazabawaf, even unto them shall be no rain. So now we're seeing that this clearly, it's an ethnic thing, all right? The earth is going to get an ethnic cleansing, specifically when the Edomites are eradicated. And that's another way that the earth is going to be blessed through the seed of Israel, because we're going to be executing the judgments of the Lord, and some of the judgments of the Lord that's for Esau to come to an end. All right, complete extinction of no more Edomites burnt with fire. All right, that's how it's going to come to an end. And all the other nations are going to be happy for us. They're going to be extremely happy. They're going to want to come year to year. They're going to look forward to it because they know that they'll get rain. You know, they'll know that they will be blessed. And if the family of Egypt go not up, all right, so again, we just read, remember, how did this start? It started off with Isaac. Let me go back. Let's backtrack, all right? Genesis 26 and 2. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell of thee. All right, so I stand corrected. Isaac, all right, he told him not to go to Egypt. All right, so he didn't come up out of there. Dwell in the land which I shall tell of thee. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. All right, so now let's go back forward again. Zechariah 14 and 18. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there shall be the plague wherewith the Lord will smite the heathen that come not up to the Feast of Tabernacles. So if the Lord is smiting you, that means you're being cursed of the Lord. All right, and why are people going to be cursed? Because they're not following the righteousness of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, which has been given to the Israelites specifically. All right, the priests. All right, and we've now, since Yahweh Shai went through his crucifixion and rose, we've all became kings and priests, and that's what you're going to have to understand. 144,000 are kings and priests. All right, the creators of all of this, ultimately on a deeper level. We'll continue on here to get the rest of these precepts. 2 Ezra 5 and 55. And this have I spoken before thee, O Lord. Now this is Ezra, a priest himself, all right, from the tribe of Levi. All right, so when he's saying these things, he's speaking about his own family. I mean, if you were to only write some memoirs and you wanted your family members to receive it, all right, that's how this is the context. All right, this wasn't meant for everybody. This book is a family book. This book only belongs to the prophets, so that they can train, and the priests and the teachers, so that they can teach. All right, and the Spirit is opening up many avenues for this to be taught now. All right, so now the Ezra, and that's why we're able to go into 2nd Ezra. All right, we're able to break these things down because the Lord has revealed them to us, because those are the promises. All right. He said we have to teach them to your sons and so that the next generation to come might know them. All right, we are that generation. All right. Some of us were still in our mother's womb when our elders and apostles were out there speaking. You know, me personally, I was born in the late 80s. So they was out there getting it already. All right, and they're speaking the same exact thing. All right, that this world is going to eventually be blessed through us, because originally it belonged to us. 2 Ezra 6:55, and this have I spoken before thee, O Lord. All this have I spoken before thee, O Lord, because thou madest the world for our sakes. And that's not talking about world as in a time frame, eon. All right, that's a world as in the Hebrew word thabal, which means the whole inhabitable earth. All right, not just aratazah, which means the land or a portion of land. This world here is literally thabal, the whole inhabitable planet, for our sakes. Because you got to remember, at one point, the Lord, before he destroyed the earth, you just had one landmass, all right, surrounded by the waters, because that's how everything came up out of the waters. Okay, and now here it's saying, and for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing. Going back to exactly what David wrote in his beautiful song. And I can't wait till the kingdom to hear how it's supposed to be sung. Psalms 147, his Psalm 147 in the last verse of this song. He hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. And he said, to end it, praise ye Yahweh. And we're going to sing that in the last Ron Gudash at the top of our lungs for eternity. You know, and it's going to be, and those are some of the things that the Lord's going to write in us. And once we get our righteousness, you got to remember, we're going to remember all these Psalms. We're going to know them by heart. You know, because all the singers that were appointed in David's choirs, all those singers are back. Some of us might be some of the singers in the ones that played upon certain string instruments to these songs. You know, that's why you see some brothers going so hard and might go into the Psalms a lot more. Some of us might actually been there when they were written. In some of these Psalms, it talks about us inhabiting the earth. All right, and getting the earth back, and having these nations, allowing them to be blessed through us. All right. As for the other people, but they don't get salvation. Let me stress that too. All right, because I'm talking about the other nations getting blessed. Let me just put the disclaimer out there. They're going to be in slavery first. All right, because in Zechariah it said all the nations that fought against Jerusalem, before they can be blessed, we got to deal with that fighting part first. And that's what's going on right now. All right, the Lord is bringing all nations to the Middle East for what? To plead his cause for his people. Because his people, that land belongs to them. You're fighting over land that doesn't even belong to you. 2 Ezra 6:56 again. It says, and for the other people which also come of Adam, the Ishmaelites, but they weren't known as the Ishmaelites then, but they had that spirit. You had the Edomites, the Moabites, the Hamites, Japheth, the rest of the sons of Shem. All right, he says, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened them, like in the abundance of them, because there's a whole rack of them. All these other nations, Elam, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, all these Elamites. He's likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. And now, O Lord, behold these heathen, Gawayam, which have ever been reputed as nothing. So this is their reputation. These heathens have never, ever received salvation. They've always been known as nothing. All right. What was, hold on, let me pull up. I forget the exact phrase. I should know it, Salaki. What they referred to Goliath as. Didn't David, let me see right quick. If somebody, uncircumcised heathen, that's what he called it, circum. See that, man, internet acting funny. If somebody could pull that up, man, put that in the comment board, that'd be a pile. I don't know why Blue Letter acting silly, but let me see. Because we're into the business of words, all right? Yeah, there we go. This one's working. Let's see. If I can't find it, it's all good. Yeah, let's stay on topic. All right, let's finish up here. Second Ezra 6 and 57. And now, O Lord, these heathen which have ever been reputed as nothing have begun to be lords over us and devour us. Right, that's why they have all of our lands. They got their lands named after them. All right, so there's somewhere in our land, they got a name Tel Aviv, but it originally has a name that we put upon it. You know, you got these other various lands throughout the earth that Esau has conquered. Those were our lands, and he put his names upon them. All right, he's taken some of those oil reserves and these natural, where these natural resources come from, were controlled by what you know as in history as the Moors, the Iberian Peninsula. The Iberians, those were the Hebrews. So we controlled a lot of these lands. All right, but these heathen, like through the Ottoman Empire and the Papistry during the Roman Catholic Empire, they said they began to be literally lords over us and devour us. It says, but we, thy people, whom thou called thy firstborn, thy only begotten and fervent lover, are given into their hands. Right. So it's not a matter of they had power and they took over the righteous seed that's supposed to inherit the earth. The Lord, remember, he made that covenant with us, and he said that his wisdom and knowledge was going to be in this. It was. Let me read it again. Deuteronomy 6 and 4. Keep therefore and do them. This is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this is a great and wise understanding people. So if we don't do those things, the opposite would happen. Surely this is a foolish and not understanding people. And then the Lord punishes for that. All right, the Lord punishes for that. Ezekiel 36, he's gonna punish 2/3. All right, and he's definitely gonna punish the heathen. Ezekiel Yakazakala 36 and 16. Moreover, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, all right, the hub, the center point, the focal point of all earth, where the power comes from, they defiled it by their own way in their doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. And that's why the Lord is not looking at us right now. All right, he doesn't even want to see anything that we have to do. That's why we have to go through Yahweh. I don't understand how you got Israelites out there that only believe that Yahweh is the Savior. That makes no sense. Where is your sacrifice? You know, what are you doing to undefile the land? Wherefore I poured my fury upon them, the blood that they have shed upon the land, and for the idols wherewith they polluted it. Right, you got our people all into Christianity. I was just watching the Akim out on the highways and hedges. You had this old fool, and you had two old fools. They came up, and basically they're idol worshiping because they're not following the truth of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, ultimately, you know. And that's how the land is polluted. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them. So that's what's going to happen to these nations. These other nations are going to have to be judged according to their doings. Because now what they've done, they've taken us into their possession, not knowing that we're the apple of the Lord's eye. And it says, and when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. When they said to them, these are the people of the Lord, and are gone forth of his land. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen where they went. So that's what happened. Our people, they started worshiping other deities throughout the different empires. They would cling to the Babylonian Empire deity. They would cling to the oppressor's deity, just like today. You see a lot of our people, they walk around with crosses on, or they're different things that they reverence outside of what the scripture says what we're supposed to reverence. All right, it says, therefore, Ezekiel 36 and 22, therefore say unto the house of Israel, thus saith the Lord power, I do not this for your sake, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake, and his names are Yahweh and Yahushua, but for my holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither you went. And it's not like the heathen were saying, stop. No, you're speaking the wrong names. They don't care. So how in the world is salvation for all these heathens when they've never received the name? All right, and they never put some fight together, say, no, y'all the Israelites, please go back to your land. No, it's not working like that. All right, ultimately the Lord wants to bring his power and show his power in Egypt so that he can destroy it and usher in his kingdom, and then all the nations of the earth, all right, can be blessed after, because remember, in our kingdom there will be slavery, and after that, then the nations can go back and have their shalawams. All right, It says, and I will sanctify my name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am the Lord, saith the Lord power, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. And that's the point. All right. The nations are all going to be blessed when the Lord puts his spirit in us. That's when the heathen shall know that he is the Lord Yahweh. All right, saith the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. And we know that our sanctification process comes through engaging and putting on the full spirit of Yahushua, speaking his words, all right, taking on that pain and that anguish, bearing our infirmities, all right, suffering, putting on the fruits of the Spirit, all right, loving our brothers, all right, like we love our, like we would love Yahushua, all those things. All right, if we do those things, we'll be sanctified in the Lord's eyes. We have a great shot at getting the hell out of here and getting on a chariot, all right, and getting back to and ruling this earth. Revelation 2:25 says, but that which ye have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. All right, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. This is the slavery. All right, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron, the same way Rome ruled over us. We're going to rule like that, but in righteousness. All right, you got to understand, we're going to rule in righteousness. There was a lot of tacky, sodomitish, all right, bestiality type Egyptians torture the Edomites were doing. All right, that they got from the Hamites, from the Matazarium. All right, that's why it says the violence against Judah, for the violence against Judah, you shed the innocent blood against Judah. The Lord, Egypt's going to be desolation, and Egypt's going to be Egypt and Edom's going to be desolation, a desolate wilderness. And Yahushua is telling us, look, if we hold fast, we're going to rule them with a rod of iron, and as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received from his father. And what did he receive? That same promise that Yatazahat got. All right, which makes sense. It makes sense that Yahushua had to be Isaac. All right, he had to be Isaac because Isaac, one, was sacrificed, almost sacrificed like a lamb by his father Abraham. All right, and in this verse, he's telling Isaac that in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. And when you go to Galatians 3, it says that not unto many seeds, but as unto one, and that seed is Yahushua. And he said that to Isaac. So, I mean, it makes sense, you know, for Yahushua had to have been Isaac at 30. Well, Spirit wanted about 5 more minutes. All right, let's get it. Man, internet acting weird, man. Satan, boy. I tell you, that nigga working overtime. Galatians 3. Where's my... Let's get the source. Now I want to come up. Galatians 3 and... 3 and 13. It says, Hamashiach hath redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is every man that hangeth on a tree, that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles, the Israelite foreigners, all right, the different tribes that were scattered, the ethnos that were scattered, because currently you had Israelites in Galatia at this point, all right. So it might come unto the Gentiles through Yahushua Mashiach, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith, right? Because ultimately, this is believing. None of us can track our lineage and say we come from the prospective tribes and, oh, now we have a chance at getting salvation, now that we know salvation is only for the Israelites. You know, no, it's not about that. It's about believing and having faith, all right? And that's ultimately what's wrong, all right? And I'm going to do another video on that, because there's always, like the elder brothers on Nala was saying at the camp, the pilgrims in D.C., in Silver Spring, all these, everyone who's not in the truth and believe in Yahushua, they always got some type of discrepancy about one of his teachings. They're always upset with something. Ultimately, they can't believe everything. They want to cater what their mom or the church has taught them, and then keep it confined and make the Lord conform to that. No, there's only one faith. All right, and that's the faith that we're preaching right now. The faith to the Israelite foreigners, the faith to those who know they're Israelites. All right, it says, brethren, I speak after the manner of men, though it be, Galatians 3 and 5. Brother, I speak after the manner of men, though it be but a man's covenant. Yet if it be conferred, no man disannulleth or addeth thereto. Now to Abraham and his seed were the promises made. Now Abraham seed. Now Abraham had multiple sons. That's why I was going to say this. He saith not into seeds as of many. So it's specifying. Not into seeds, plural, as of many, but as of one, into thy seed, which is Hamashiach. Now we know that Yahushua came through which lineage? He came through Isaac. So clearly Paul was speaking about Isaac in the law, statutes, commandments that were passed from him onto Jacob, because Jacob had Judah, all right, and that's where Yahushua came from. And this I say that this covenant that was confirmed by the Most High of Hamashiach, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul that it should make the promise of none effect, right? Because we went into how it was orally, and Abraham obeyed the Most High. That's why he told Isaac in verse 5, Genesis 26:5, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, and my statutes and my laws. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar, all right, and the men, well, I went into about the interaction with him and Rebecca. All right, but the point is that the whole earth is going to be blessed once the Israelites take over and we receive our salvation from Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, as long as we stay Bathamayim Wa'amath, which means in sincerity and in truth. All right, I pray and I know that you were edified, and stay the course, keep the faith. All right, Shamar Amawan, which means keep the faith. Shamar Ha'amawan, keep the faith. Fast and pray, stay sober-minded, and pray for each other as well. And double honors to our elders and apostles that coming back from reincarnation. All right, they know this great millstone these times. Shalom to all the elders, the bishop, and the Mashapaka Bakayam, the elect family out there. And shalom to you all, and Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakaha Kodash. Hey, shalom.